I would like to introduce you the topic of this panel. So, the topic of this panel is NFTs and music. We've seen Snoop Dogg releasing his NFT collections, 1,000 NFTs that sold out in one day. We also saw Coachella, the festival. They did Coachella keys, basically to sell tickets for their festival that grant lifelong access. So definitely we can say that NFTs are shaping the music industry. I would like to introduce you to the panelists today with whom we'll discuss exactly this topic. First, we have Simon de Kinclan, co-founder and art director at Æternity.
Hi, everyone.
We have Debbie Osler for We Are One music platform. We also have Jordi Osler, the co-founder and president from We Are One music platform.
Hello, guys.
And we have Nicolas G. Padilla, co-founder from Miami Community Radio.
Hello.
And last but not least, we have a special surprise guest.
Hi, I'm Martin. I go by the artist name Seth Schwartz, internationally touring DJ, music producer, and medical doctor. Happy to be here. And co-founder of We Are One.
Let's run a round of applause for our amazing panelists. Okay, let's start with a warm-up question. Why are NFTs important when it comes to music?
I think the main thing is to reintroduce scarcity and ownership into music industry.
Who wants to join?
I would say that NFTs are really important for music because they, one, can provide an immutable registration or proof of origin of digital creative works. What they do is they can reflect ultimately like a prima facie alternative ownership mechanism for a digital work's art, or something that exists in the real world but is a representation of perhaps who owns that and its worth in the world. Secondly, I would say that NFTs, introduction to the music world, allow artists to capitalize on a number of other people in the world's increasing willingness to pay for music. So instead of having a flat subscription fee, which is set at a level which secures a number of subscribers, NFTs provide an additional mechanism to get additional revenue for artists and support artists.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. From artist perspective, I would say it enables a completely new market to monetize, and also a new platform to create bonds or closer relationship to the fan base, and giving opportunities to fans really invest onto something special, make them really feel special about a certain track that you can't find anywhere else, or even bind the ownership of the track to some really funny and other creative opportunities. For example, having a cooking hour together with your favorite artist by purchasing the song. And I feel like, there's a whole new world opening up with creativity around NFTs linked to the music, and it's going to be a very interesting road going this together.
Debbie, Nicolas, do you want to add something?
I suppose what we've been really excited about is I think it's also showing that it's possible to disrupt an industry that we thought was not disruptible, that the status quo is definitely going to change, and it's going to be led by the incredible creatives at many levels. So, yeah, lots of potential in this space.
Thanks. Yeah, so echoing Debbie's thoughts, I think the implications behind this technology is very multidimensional. The idea that we're disrupting an entire banking industry that has exploited talent for a very long time has some serious implications, especially when it comes to financing artists' careers and having utility behind it, like dinners but even like crowdfunding an album, like, so there's a lot of use cases, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Yeah.
Listening to your thoughts, I heard a lot the word opportunities. My next question for you is, what are the opportunities that are facilitated by Web3 and NFTs that were not able before, to be done before with Web2 technology?
I would say the big opportunities that relate to Web3 are the possibilities that Web3 really brings. And the first of that is inclusivity. So it's the ability to create ecosystems where every single person or part of that ecosystem has got the ability to contribute and to earn. The second is transparency. So transparency of revenue flows to artists, of who's paying towards artists, transparency of ownership of digital music assets. And yeah, you guys can carry on.
Exactly, so the transparency behind it, and running smart contracts by the new Web3 technology. Giving an example, as an artist, still there are multiple labels I'm running money afterwards, and some tracks, they've got millions of plays on Spotify. I still haven't seen much money from that side. Running smart contracts, for example, would definitely show, okay, this is my content, it's been played here and there, and automatically I would get some revenues into the wallet, or ultimately other people that would have invested onto my song, they would also benefit from it, and everybody would know, okay, here are the plays, here are the stats, there should be so and so many tokens. And yeah, I feel like this is a really cool opportunity in the future, having a transparent transaction system. Yeah.
What I see is the technology, but what more importantly, the culture and the ethos that is emerging, that is equally Web3, and that is definitely the engagement with and the ability to reflect that you're part of a clan, part of a tribe. And I think in music, all of us feel a deep resonance to the artists that we listen to and love, and almost a sense of protectiveness. And so Web3 offers an opportunity for fans to validate and protect the copyright. If copyright's how you want to label rights, but so I think Web3 offers a cultural change to how we engage, which Web2 doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's more ways to engage more your community around your artworks. And you know, typically on Spotify you don't know who are your true fans, and when blockchain you can know and build community with group chat, with club membership community, NFT gated membership, for example.
Yeah, a great example of that is like FWB, Friends with Benefits. Have a very well curated, like token gated community of producers and DJs and designers and architects, and yeah, and then we have Feldsign in New York City. We have Refraction Festival out of Montreal. I think the common thread between all these organizations is that they're DAOs for the most part, which is another implication behind this technology in general. And yeah, Web3 is a huge umbrella. And outside of like rights management and that being on a public ledger, there's just a lot of implications when it comes to coming together and creating like a record label or like a collective or something like this, and protecting your community, which we never really had before. So the implications are pretty paradigm shifting. Yeah.
I think we all agree by now that there are a lot of opportunities out there, but maybe let's explore what are some specific business models facilitated by this.
I guess I'd like to just start with a bit of stats around the industry. So the music streaming industry is about a $16 billion industry with about 500 and something million subscribers. And most artists and DJs get virtually none of that. 90% of the revenue goes to less than 1% of the artists. In the electronic music industry, which is somewhere where we operate, there are 130,000 core artists. There are 11 million casual artists, 412 million listeners, and only 1,650 people that earn more than $65,000 a year to support themselves. So that, I think, is like a real problem. And for me, the importance of music is it's intelligent information which is prepared for us by creatives. I think creatives who are accessing a new type of world community or thinking about sustainability of communities and of environment, and it's in that music that has the ability to, one, change our minds, our attitudes. So through music we can change the world. So these new economic systems are vital or essential for us going forward, I believe, for our children, our children's children, and our children's children's children. So I think the opportunities with this new Web3 technology and with these economic systems is to build that inclusive economic model, to create a model where everybody who is creating music or contributing to the music experience has got that ability to earn in whatever form. So it's acknowledgement of all people. And I think that's the exciting thing that we can bring about with Web3 by basically creating digital music assets, putting them out there in the world, linking them together as we would link the people who created them together in a way that everybody can earn and be recognized for what they do.
Yeah, I think I often talk about we have the privilege of coming from South Africa, and a lot of human history started there. And when I walked in the Cape Mountains recently, I had the privilege of walking with someone who studied original people. And he explained to me that when the Khoisan made a decision for the tribe, they made it with 7 generations in mind. So the opportunity from a business model perspective, I think, is that we have the opportunity to build a system that will be here 7 generations from now. So let's think consciously about what we want to sow in there.
Yeah, today 97% of the artists earn less than 100K per year on Spotify. So that's it. Big issues, I think. And with NFT and with a fair business model like we build on Æternity, you can have only 102 fans to live with your production, you know. And we saw this after 1 year of market, you know. So yes, you can create fair business model with NFT, and the key is secondary market, typically, I think.
Yeah, one of the things that I constantly remind my community members of, the DAO that we're going to be launching in Q4 of this year, is that at some point this technology will enable for us to kind of leave the Web 2 and legacy system behind, and if we create the right on-ramps for our community and for our tribe and, you know, our collective, then we can create things like grant and stipend programs, you know, and create endowments and create a parallel system outside of streaming revenue, which has been heavily exploited based off of the statistics that were shared earlier. And I think it's 0.00009 per stream play, which is just very unsustainable. Like,
There's no such thing as free.
Yeah, no such thing as free, exactly. So what happens if we think of things from a bottom-up standpoint rather than a top-down standpoint? I think that's where most collectives in most major cities should be thinking rather than depending on legacy structures and systems. So that's why MCR, Miami Community Radio, is critical for our scene, because we're veterans that are sick and tired of being, you know, abused of and exploited in the industry. It's no one's fault. you know, it's just how the structures are created. We just need to create the solutions for it because the technology is there. But yeah.
I also believe so. The key goal would be building new platforms with the right kind of DNA and the heart and the spirit of the tribe and the community to add this amazing value that is there. And this way we will leave the system of sharking, by the way. And there's going to be so much more music, beautiful music being created by enabling artists to make a living from what they love to do. And yeah, so if we get this right from the beginning, as a strong community, I think we will see a very prosperous future in the world of business models coming out of the Web3 music technology. Mm-hmm.
I just want to add to that too, that I believe we're stepping into this age of the fourth industrial revolution where everything that can be automated is going to be done by machines. And us as humans, what separates us from machines is the spark of creativity. So the bigger question is, how do we create mechanisms to reward creativity in the world going forward? Because that's what we will rely on for a mutual symbiotic relationship, living all together happily.
Previously, I heard the words new platforms. I'm curious, I would like to address a question to the audience. Let's run a quick poll. Who can imagine like a decentralized version of SoundCloud or Apple Music? So that's a yes? Yeah. Okay. And the others, that's a no? Who can't imagine such business models?
I think that those are very hard to make money with because they have a bootstrapping problem and people don't want to pay for the streaming.
So that's a no.
Yeah, the main idea is like how do you make it like mass adoption for the people, like why we should like, you know, to enter this like mindset of paying to the artist directly if we like not into music very much, if we don't understand the technology, if we don't understand the Web3. Like, you know, the biggest question about like, yeah, majority of population who.
So imagine right now that like all the music is on the blockchain. Even if imagine that you have a system like Spotify. If you're gonna hear that music, for example, from an artist, even if you don't know that artist, if you are listening to that music, automatically through the smart contract, that artist is gonna receive.
No, I understand the mechanism. I know how it works. I mean, like, basically, like here, people who know what is Web3, what is blockchain, what is NFT, how it works. But if we talk about like mass adoption and how long will it take for people really to accept this new reality of like, you know, entering the Web3 and like interacting with artists directly. Like
same poll for all.
Inclusion, like this inclusion mindset.
Let's run the same poll. Let's run the same poll to our panelists. Can you imagine a decentralized version of these platforms? Short, yes, no.
I think that it does lie in the future, and I think it starts with people like us. And you only need 20% of a community to adopt a way of doing something for it to become organic. And you would only need to, so you just have to start a ripple. And you don't have to solve everything overnight, but it's about putting a structure and a system in place. And if everyone in the ecosystem is being rewarded, I think adoption is far more likely to happen. I mean, at the moment, all of us are being exploited for our content that we put into Facebook and Instagram, and I think it was Sage earlier that said he's really seeking some sort of more meaningful interaction because he's creating hours and hours of content for another platform. So I think you've got to rethink it at all levels, and then I think it is possible.
So first, I think the model in the future will be a hybrid model. Obviously, you can't store all the data inside of the blockchain. Like traffic would be crazily high in cost, but you could store other information that links to like decentralized and centralized. And then I also agree, Debbie, once we've we have the proof of concept for a tiny platform that works, and everybody's rewarded, I think the dominoes will fall quickly. So I even believe, estimated, you could say maybe even in 5 years that it will grow out of the normal crypto community onto other users outside of that, because they clearly would see the benefits, also supporting the artist.
I think the timing is right for this, because one is people are much more aware of the mistreatment of artists. I think secondly, artists are much more aware of their contribution to society and expecting their fair share. I believe that ultimately the model will be more of a hybrid. It will not be fully decentralized. Plato spoke in his book, The Republic, the problems of democracy and how democracy is achieved out of a group of people claiming their rights after being oppressed. But their problem is that they then required to appoint leaders within their community to lead them, and those leaders will then write new laws, which again take away the very freedom that they fought for. So it's a cyclical thing. But I think we are on the road to something way more decentralized and something way more inclusive that will be far healthier for the long-term sustainability of artists and for all of us, and we'll get to enjoy more great music.
Yeah, I also agree with that sentiment that it'll be a hybrid system. There's just a lot of operational things that we need to consider, especially when we talk about NFTs. And I mean, I sat into a few discussions, but where are the NFTs being hosted? Is it Pinata? Is it AWS? Is it like we need to question where these chains are using the data on-ramping. So, and is that truly decentralized, you know, as a data hosting platform? So there's a lot of things operationally that we're just not there yet as an industry, and obviously we need to be aware of that, but and obviously have money set aside in our budget when it comes to like treasury management to be able to pivot into a truly decentralized functionality when that is there. But yeah, doing things like voting on Snapshot or on NASA Safe, and like even having like a treasury wallet or address being publicly available to everyone that's using that platform is really important. Like we don't see the quarterly reports before they're published. You know, like imagine if we're able to see that in real time. The disruption is just like, the implications behind that is just like unbelievable. So yeah, there's like the cultural facilitators and there's the people that are creating the operations. And I think both sides of the spectrum will understand these implications in due time. We just need the tech to evolve and get to that point. So it's just being patient and building.
Yeah, of course, I imagine decentralized SoundCloud or Spotify or something like this. And we are building even more today on Æternity. Why? Because we build an ecosystem where you can earn fair revenue, you can connect with your fans, and you can create a proper situation for develop your creativity.
Ferry, you touched a very interesting point, the challenges that we have right now with NFTs. So far we evangelized a lot the use of NFTs in music, but we know that things are not ideal, at least for now. What are some of the challenges and some of the things that can be improved?
I think for me, it started out creating a wallet myself and like finding ways how to do it. And then the even bigger challenge is teaching my family how to do it, to purchase an NFT that I created. So I believe like making it easy and accessible is the biggest challenge to begin with. Yeah.
Can I build on your story? Because so there's an NFT music platform, it's not yours, that has some of his songs listed, and it's allocated to a wallet that you don't have ownership of, and he doesn't know who listed it, and but they're his tracks. So I think there are challenges around this gatekeeper, the tech, this hybrid that we talk about. There's going to have to be somewhere that's validating that whoever's putting stuff on the blockchain, it's their right to do so. So I think we got some big challenges ahead on that space.
Yeah, I'll just reinforce that it's really governance issues which I think are the issue when it comes to blockchain and NFTs. NFTs and the advantage of blockchain is the ability to, for me, register immutably the point of origin of new creative works. So it's that timestamp registration of somebody that goes and loads something up and says that's when it happened first. But from that stems the fact of one, intellectual property rights, to say that it's his, but for what extent is it his? But secondly, there are then issues that can unfold from that to say, was it copied? Was he the legitimate owner who created it? And how do we manage that with blockchain? And I think all of those structures have to be governed and used. I think the second challenge with respect to NFTs is music is a listening experience. That's where the benefit is received or derived from music. And ultimately, when you place value on an NFT, for me it has to translate back to, how does that translate back to the listening experience that people get and building that bridge between them?
I would say there's a few issues, but the main thing in my mind, at least what the statistics show, is engagement. And engagement in the context of people that are already a part of Discords, already a part of Clubhouses, already a part of Twitter Spaces, and getting that 10%, 15% engagement in terms of voting on like quarterly votes, weekly votes, monthly votes, and bumping that up to like 50, 60% of a community that's already been on-ramped, right? That already has their MetaMask connected, or their Samurai wallet connected to a Discord to verify. It doesn't matter what chain you're using, but we just need internal engagement, and that'll solve a lot of the problems through voting and through proposals and even through delegation, right? We haven't even talked about delegators, but we just need more engagement and feedback from community members that are already vetted. I think that help projects succeed more. Yeah.
Yeah. Æternity, yes, we see the NFT at like a tools box, when you can put a lot of utility behind the NFT. You can like put music, video, picture, but also access to group chat. And it's what we're building right now in a app where the artist can commit all his community around announcement and manage new access to contents, to creativity process, to show, to whatever.
I think another topic to explore is the level of decentralization. So basically right now, a lot of the artists cannot create by themselves the smart contracts, or cannot afford to have someone create for them, or even if they can, they are missing sometimes the marketing to put their name out there. So they're relying on services like OpenSea. However, we know that, for example, with OpenSea, the royalties are attached to the platform. So if you want to take your NFT out of the platform, you're losing the royalties. How do we fix this problem?
I would say we just create a better OpenSea, one that's specially designed for musicians and artists.
Yeah, I agree. Build a new ecosystem that's DNA is providing the solution. Yeah.
I can't disagree.
You have something to say? I would say like it has to start with the trendsetters. So like deadmau5, for example, or Richie Houghton, or all these individuals that are already in Web3 and crypto. They need to create their own platform where they're actually amplifying the voices of the creatives rather than compromising their philosophical ideals and using platforms like OpenSea which actually degrades the value of the artist because of how the smart contracts work. And so, yeah, it needs to start from within. It needs to start from people that have been exploited by the industry in order to create the solution. That's just my subjective perceptionality of solving that problem. Yeah.
Last contribution. I'm getting signals from the state manager that we need to end this panel. Thank you all very much for your contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you.